why Jim Jordan is losing. He basically had this second vote today, and he fared worse than yesterday. He lost two more fellow Republicans. That's a total of 22 Republicans opposing Jim Jordan as Speaker. Now, to win, of course, on the floor, he could only lose a handful. Now, what Republicans keep doing to themselves in public is a contrast to how most Speaker votes have proceeded across all of American history. And that's not, by the way, a partisan point. Both parties, for most of history, have never done it like this. They decide their leader in private, in a meeting, and then they just formalize it on the House floor. It's not only more time efficient, it's also far less embarrassing to all the people that we've seen go up and down in the way the current Republican Party is doing it. They proved unable to meet that precedent of, again, most Speaker votes through most of history, through most parties. Indeed, remember, it took 15 rounds for the now fired Republican Speaker McCarthy to get the gavel in the first place.
A speaker has not been elected.
This dramatic day that is not turning out remotely the way Kevin McCarthy had hoped.
A speaker has not been elected.
Gates, one of the leaders of the rebellion.
Wow. This looks like a bit of a heated conversation. Yeah.
This is an incredible moment. McCarthy is now directly engaging Matt Gaetz.
Look at somebody's holding somebody back. Look at that. Oh, somebody just held somebody back.
Representative Kevin McCarthy has now been elected Speaker of the House. This comes after 15 rounds of voting.
So to put that in perspective, if you remember that, today, Jim Jordan lost by more votes than McCarthy at his lowest point during those very clashes you just saw when he was just a handful short. And Jordan got fewer votes than McCarthy got on his way out when McCarthy was ousted 2 weeks ago. Now, if you've been following other news or just turning away from some of this seemingly ongoing or endless GOP infighting, that is understandable. There are a lot of other things going on in the world, although the United States will sooner or later need a Speaker of the House. It's the most important position in the House of Representatives. And so to catch you up tonight, here is a quick guide on how this latest round went down.
The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 200 votes. The Speaker has not been elected.
I don't know why Congressman Jordan would ask for a second round of public beatings.
The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 199. A Speaker has not been elected.
House Republican Conference is going to have to figure out what to do next.
This is getting idiotic, and we need some stability at this time.
We're just going to keep talking to members.
The latest today after his loss, Jim Jordan does say he wants a third vote tomorrow. Now, some say repeating the losing vote process is giving Kevin McCarthy vibes. Basically, that this feels like some kind of weird newfangled tradition where you just keep getting your vote on, although McCarthy ultimately did get to the gavel that way. There's also a wider opposition to Jordan. The New York Times noted Jordan's second defeat is a rare instance of the party's more mainstream wing, normally those who seek compromise, flexing its muscles and breaking with Republican colleagues in defiance of the ultra-conservative faction led by Mr. Jordan. Today, we're joined now by the New York Times' Annie Carney and Mother Jones' David Corn. I'll start with you, Annie. What happened today and what will happen tomorrow?
We saw a second failed attempt by Jim Jordan to win the gavel. It ended worse for him than yesterday. He lost support and ended up with a smaller number of votes in his favor. And he, they recessed the House until tomorrow sometime afternoon. He said he's going to keep going. There was a lot of members saying he's only going to lose support if this keeps going. The bloc of moderates and some Republicans who represent districts Biden won in 2020 are standing strongly against him. But he has vowed to keep going. And some of the far right members talked about it as just a test of endurance. And they think that he should just grind it out. So he's going to go again tomorrow, and we'll see where we are after that.
Right. It's, as mentioned, it's sort of a new tradition or habit. As you know, David, some traditions do start somewhere, but it's also, of course, a very public, self-imposed demonstration of disarray. And it's drawing more attention to Jim Jordan, who you've tracked and been writing about. The Washington Post notes, quote, he has a major problem. Having not served in House leadership, he's surrounded himself with like-minded members of the Freedom Caucus and hard-right Republicans. He's done little to get to know others from less conservative districts. He doesn't understand their needs. says the Post. He's never had to build coalitions or work across the aisle. His 16 years in Congress have been spent, quote, blocking legislation and pushing his party to the right. Is that a record of accomplishment that burnishes his argument for Speaker? David?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a MAGA mutiny, right? You have a very small, but a small collection of the House Freedom Caucus, which is not a majority of the entire House Republican caucus, basically saying we're going to shove this guy down your throat. It's pretty clear that he's not as popular as Kevin McCarthy was, not as popular as Steve Scalise was, but they are trying to be the tail that wags the dog. And I don't know, there's probably a good war metaphor here, but I don't want to call them the moderate Republicans, but the non-crazy MAGA-ish, still conservative Republicans are holding the line. I guess it's Game of Thrones. Hold the line. And they're trying to hold the line from the total submission to the far-right MAGA element. And Jordan seems to be betting that he can ram through them the way he's rammed through everything else, often with disinformation lies, and the fact that he was a leading insurrectionist who plotted with Donald Trump to overturn the election. I know you've mentioned it and others have mentioned it, but so far out of the 221 or so House Republicans, I've only heard 2 of them mention this in the last couple of days, and that would be Dan Bacon and Ken Buck. Otherwise, it's like it didn't happen. So this is a bit of a civil war in which the smaller force has had the greater power, but may not make it on this battle.